Alright, so now we're going to write some code. Now what I want to do is we'll talk about this a little bit. I've got a data set that is the population of all the states in the United States. And we want to see, does it conform to Benford's law? The way that we're going to do this is we are going to do some code prompting. We are going to use ChatGPT to write our Python code. And just a quick review, since it's been a while since we've done Python code in the class, what do we do? Now, step one. And actually, let's... So Python code prompting. Step one. We want to understand the purpose of the code. Step two, we're going to have descriptive inputs and outputs. Step three, we're going to choose the right style. And this is all our pre-work. So 1 through 3 is what we're going to do before we do anything with ChatGPT. Step 4 is write the prompt. And then step 5 is test and optimize our code. All right, so what is the purpose of the code? Well, the purpose of the code is we want to plot the U.S. population and see if it conforms to Benford's law. So our descriptive inputs and outputs are really going to come down to what we have and what we want it to give us out. So we are going to tell it that we have a CSV file, because we're going to download one. I've got a CSV file with the populations that we're going to use. So we will tell it, hey, you've got the CSV file. That's going to be the input. And for the output, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to tell it that we're going to want it to do a frequency chart, a histogram of the first digits. Not only are we going to tell it to do that, we're also going to tell it that we want to have it overlay a Benford's law line on that so we can see if it works out. So that would be our inputs and our outputs, and the style is going to be, we're going to tell it that we want to use a Python code to do it. So that's really what we're looking to do. It's pretty simple. So let's go and let's grab our file. So what we want to do is we want to go into Canvas. We want to go to week 7. And we want data example 4.3 US population data.csv. So remember, CSV is a comma-separated values file. That's what we're going to use for our code. So I just want to go here, and I want to download that data, because I am going to need it on my computer. Alright, so it is in my downloads folder, but remember, we are going to want to move this to where Spider is located, where Spider is going to be looking for the file. So where is Spider going to be looking for the file? Once again, if you look right up here, this is the working directory. So on my computer, it's c:users drrob and then .spiderpy3. So that's where I'm going to move the file. So I'm going to bring my File Explorer back up, and then I am going to either cut or copy this, and then I will go to the C drive, I will go to users, I will go to drrob, I will go to I will go to .spiderpy3, all that, and I'm going to paste my file here. So, and I'm just going to paste, and so there we are. Now, I'm also going to be typing this into the prompt. I don't want to type this entire thing every time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click on this, and I am going to rename it. So I'll go into Properties, and I can rename it here by typing in, or if you click on it once, it'll pop up and it'll look like that, where you can see the little bar around it. And I'm just going to call it pop data. Now, pay special attention to how you did this, because remember, for the code, it's going to have to be exactly correct. And so if I pop into this, I'm just going to look at the data a little bit. So here's my CSV file. There is a lot of stuff in there. So this is, I said it was state, but it's every single county in there. And the only thing that I am going to need is column H here, the population estimate base 2020. Actually, no, strike that. Let's do population estimate 2020. I don't need any of the rest of this data, so I'm just going to make things easier on myself. I'm going to delete everything else. So I'm going to highlight all that, and I'm going to delete, because I just want this pop estimate data. And we'll kill all the rest of this stuff. Okay, so I've cleaned up my data for just the population estimate. I will close this. I want to save it, and I'm just going to save it right over the same thing. Yes, I want to replace it. All right. So now I have that ready. It's time to go into... I was able to cut the sneeze out of that, so that's good. So now what I want to do is go into OpenAI. All right, so now here I am in ChatGPT. We're going to write the prompt for the code. So remember, we have to tell it what we want. We have to give it descriptive inputs and outputs, and we have to tell it what style we want. So let's go and do that. We will say, okay, you have a CSV file called, make sure that you've got this the right name, so pop data, capital P, capital D, pop data. All right, so we've told it what we want. Let's tell it what we want to get out of it. So write a Python code that will plot the frequency. Now, oh, that's not spelled right. Now, unlike in class, I've got the squiggly red line, so I can quickly change that. Now, I want the frequency, but I also want it in percentage to make it match up with Benford's law. Of the first numbers, because that's what we need for Benford's law, in each observation. Now, if I hadn't deleted all that data, I could tell it for each observation in the column pop estimate 2020, but we deleted all that so we don't have to worry about it. So let's try this first before we worry about Benford's law. So we'll execute it. We'll see what ChatGPT says. Okay, it's doing all that great stuff. Let's copy the code. Let's go into Spider. And let's paste the code. And let's run it and see what happens. Okay, so I have an error. And so there is something going on there that, okay. So let's look at the plots. It doesn't plot anything. What do? Let's go back to ChatGPT and say, okay, redo it. And let's have it write it again. So copy the code. Let's go back here, and I'm just going to overwrite all this other code, and hopefully it works this time. And it does not. So let's figure out what's going on. All right, so I've actually paused the last two. I've regenerated this 4 times. It's still having a problem. So at this point, we either do one of two things. We go find someone that really knows coding, or we change our prompt a little bit. And so as I'm looking at this in the code, one of the things, I called it an observation, and it keeps referencing observation. So I think it's trying to pull the column name out. So let's try and go and fix that. So I'm going to take the initial prompt, and I'm actually going to tell it, I'm going to give it more information, because apparently I did not give it a descriptive enough input. So that will come in here, write a Python code, they'll prompt the frequency of the first numbers in each observation, and so we'll tell it the column. In the column, pop estimate. This is where we want to make sure that it's, it needs to all be all caps because that's what our CSV file is, 2020. And so that gives us more information, STI, and that should be spelled right. So we've given it more information. We've tightened up our prompt. So let's give it a try. And you shouldn't feel discouraged or something if this happens, because this is a normal kind of thing. Sometimes we have to go back and give it more information. Okay, so let's try this code now. I'll come in here and we'll delete all the old code. I'll drop the new code in. All right, so there we go. Now it works. It was my fault for not giving the computer enough information. So that's the first part of our code. That actually looks pretty good, but let's go and let's tell it to add Benford's law to that so we can see how it looks. Add a line, or let's say plot a line of Benford's law on the same graph. And since we've already told it what to do once, it knows what we're talking about, so we're just having it add that information on there. And actually, we'll talk about this in class. This is the actual Benford's law. I'll give you that when we do it in class. So copy the code. Let's go back to Spider. Let's make a new picture. And let's plot that. All right, so there, it has gone, it has added Benford's law to that, and look at that. Look how that fits. That does U.S. county populations does a fantastic job of fitting to Benford's law. So we're going to do this again in Excel in the next class, but this is how we do it in Python. This is how we prompt code using the AI, and you'll also see that Dr. Camp messed it up and how we work through those kind of mistakes and how we make our prompt better. So this Python file is what I want you to submit for your engagement for this class in the special engagement that is going to be listed. With that, please email me with any questions, and I will see you in the next class.